Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast. We discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to talk about the market slowdown amidst global turmoil, some rumblings in China, Pakistan, India, all causing issues, making it a little bit messy here in the crypto market. We're going to talk about a new MicroStrategy competitor, dare I say it, ready to potentially compete and knock off MicroStrategy? Are they in danger? Is Pio worried? Is he shaking in his boots? And we're going to talk about the CloneX art seemingly wiped away and gone, proving that they are just JPEGs on the internet. I'm joined here this morning by Easy and Signal. Sig, it's been a while since we chatted. How you feeling this morning?
Been a bit of a moment, right? I feel like every time I see you guys, the world just seems to have accelerated 10 years. Important people are dying. Bitcoin back up at 92. It's just like a lot has happened in the last week. I'm just like, whew. But I'm good. It feels I like where the markets are at. It feels like last week the timeline was all about like, oh, we're back in the bear market, and those vibes were there. And now Bitcoin crosses 90K and everyone is just like back on it, super happy. Memes are pumping. I didn't sell much of my meme bags, and it's good to see them back up again. Honestly, I kind of like just closed my eyes at them and I was like, ugh, they're gone forever. But some of them are back, so I'm really enjoying that.
Oh man, yeah, love to see it. I was planning on like I'm thinking back to like Mirra times where I was like planning essentially like hold these memes till like now from last like fall. And I'm so happy I sold off a lot of that bag. That bag is down horrendously. We talked about CloneX on the intro here. I just saw Clemente posted a video. I haven't watched this yet. I kind of want to watch it like in real time
Can we
here.
watch it? Can
Yeah, I'm
we?
gonna pop it on here. Hopefully Twitter is cooperating with me today. I tried some music.
Wait, what the fuck? My clone eggs! What the fuck is going on? It's gone! Dude, I had a Murakami! The content has been restricted. Dude, Cloudflare's 25 bucks a month! You can't afford that after I paid you $1,000 for your shitty sneakers made in China? What the fuck, man? I had $6,000 in this thing and it's worth 0.17 ETH now! Oh my god, dude! Nike, are you kidding me? God, I can't catch a break, man. Oh my.
Oh man.
I love that video. That's a good one. I love it. Clemente's videos are the best, man. It's so funny because like thinking back to 2021, I remember there were some collections and artists who were like, all of this is on chain. And like at the time, people didn't really care because it was up only. You know, you're just making money, flipping money, and you know, the NFTs were always there. And just now it's just like, wow, Nike just gone, your art. I mean, can you imagine if just like you owned an autoglyph and it got sold to another company, you wake up this morning and it's just bam, not there. It feels different. I think going forward, it just makes you really question like which NFTs you're going to hold, which ones you actually think will be around forever and can continue to pay their Cloudflare fees, because obviously, as Clemente is showing, it's a big cost for them. But yeah, it feels different. Like 4 years has just gone like super fast. I would never in the 4 years have predicted that this would have happened to like what was one of the top 3 collections at the time.
Yeah, this was like a quote unquote blue chip NFT collection that now does not have art on the blockchain. It's like it's mind boggling, and it really brings you back down to reality and makes you look at like the silliness and frothiness that we saw during the last NFT cycle. And I think so many more people are going to be much the wiser. I think that's why it's taking some like it. That's why we haven't seen another NFT cycle. Like, people have been burned. Like they've seen what happens. Like there hasn't been like true product market fit. Like community, quote unquote, is like the number one product market fit for these things. And like I don't know if that's strong enough to warrant the massive number of these collections, considering like the overall size of people who are like Web3 community members. Um, so I think this is like definitely hurting like potential for like an NFT season. And seeing things like this, definitely not great. Definitely bullish though for on chain art. I know the Bitcoin people are doing victory laps right now on the timeline, saying that their ordinals are all on chain. Everything is completely on chain. As long as Bitcoin's alive, you're going to have your images. But I mean, people just don't seem that interested in the ordinals either right now. So it's interesting to see this all kind of develop in real time and seeing such a big player kind of like fall by the wayside. That being said, we're going to kick things off with the weather report in a second. But first, easy, I need some more advice. This show is brought to you in partnership with BlockBet. You fed me some losers last time, Easy. We went 1-2.
Dude, I can't get a feel on the NBA, man.
If you were following last time, we put in 4 bets. We won the OKC versus Memphis under game total. We lost Luka Doncic under 30.5, and we lost Bucks plus 6.5. Then Clemente had me throwing in a LeBron James over. He was super confident about. That didn't hit as well. So we went 1-3 on the show last time. We're going to try to turn things around this time. Easy. What are you looking at in the NBA? What am I betting here?
So, interesting plays here tonight. We got a couple playoff games. Pistons, Knicks. I think the Knicks win this one. I like the money line minus 122 on them. Straight up. I like that. I'm very interested in the Ja Morant points total for Memphis Grizzlies OKC.
You like him over
totals or player props? Yeah, sorry, player props. No, go back up. Player props. Ja Morant points. I like the under on that 24.5.
Come on, scroll wheel. Under 24.5.
Yep. Then I like Jokic on the
Scottie Pippen's son.
Yeah.
Is he good?
Yep. He's all right. He's not great.
All right, so we're gonna go for Nuggets. I need to get back out of here. Basketball. Over to basketball. Come on. And then we're gonna go to the Nuggets. You said Jokic. Jokic points.
Scroll down. They should have like points, rebounds, assists. His total stat line. Which I don't know if we're gonna get it on this book. Go all to the bottom.
Player performance.
Yeah. Oh, they're not giving it to us. Well, that's too bad. Go down to. We'll take a Kawhi Leonard prop then. Scroll down.
Hold on, I'm on the Clippers. That's why.
I was like, wait a minute. Go all the way down.
I don't even see.
So
right,
I'll be looking for. Keep going. Player stats triple. That's what we want.
All right, so we want 25.
Oh no, this is parlaying it. 25, 10, 13. Oof. I don't. Yeah, fuck it. Let's take a flyer on that. I like that.
So we're going. So we're looking at 25
points, 10 plus assists. We're going for a Jokic triple double here.
All right. 373. So we're plus 373, getting good odds there, but that's not likely to happen. But we're gonna cheer for it. We'll watch that game tonight. That's a later game. Awesome. All right, so we got our bets in. Let's go do a quick review on what we've placed today. We just placed Nuggets, Clippers. We're on Jokic to go 25 points, 10 assists, 13 rebounds. We are on Ja Morant in the Grizzlies Thunder game, under 24.5 points. And then for Pistons, Knicks, we're on the Knicks to win it straight up, just on a pick on minus 122 to win. Love making these bets on BlockBet. Love being able to jump in, watch the action, and have a little bit of skin in the game. If you're trading and gambling on BlockBet, you want to be using the block token. You get 20% cash back on block token losses. So if you lose some of these bets, like I placed my bets in Solana there because I haven't converted the block token like an idiot, I would have gotten 20% back on all of those losses that I made yesterday. So they're basically, your downside is not as big of a downside when you bet in the block token. So this is going throughout the rest of the month. And we've heard some rumors that they might extend this even a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But we've got still have 20% cash back on block. Best way to bet on BlockBet. If you need to sign up, go to bodogos.com/BlockBet. Get started today. We love working with them. We love placing some wagers on their platform. that being said, we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of today's show. Signal, whenever you're ready, take it away with the weather report.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. Let's get into it today for Thursday, April 24th. Looking at that crypto roundup, you got the majors. They've sold off a bit since yesterday with BTC down to 92K, Ethereum at 1,757, while Solana is down to 148. Over the past 24 hours, the top three stories were firstly, Strike CEO Jack Mallers launched 21. It's a new Bitcoin acquisition company with $4 billion worth of Bitcoin on its balance sheet. The goal of this company is to create the most capital efficient vehicle to gain Bitcoin exposure. Next up, it was a huge day for crypto raises and acquisitions. DeFi Dev Corp, formerly Janover, acquired 9.9 million Solana. MetaPlanet added 13.4 million Bitcoin, and Sol Strategies raised 500 million in convertible notes to purchase more Solana. Venture capital firm Rockaway X raised 125 million to invest primarily into Solana ecosystem startups. And then finally, it was a bullish day for the Trump token. I was so wrong on this, but it's been so bullish as the Memecoin team announced a 90-day token lockup extension and a private dinner for top holders with the one and only president. Trump is up over 30% on the day to a 2.4 billion market cap. That is all for the weather report. It is back to you in the studio.
Excellent weather report as always, Signal. Trump token, absolute cook. We were talking about it this morning on Easy's show. If you were looking at the lockup being a bullish unlock and you decided to long Trump going into that, you made out very, very, very well. There was no like wick dump or anything around lockup. So you avoided liquidation, and then if you still sat in this play after that initial run, you were eating nicely.
I was so wrong, Ray. I was so wrong when I spoke to you about this a week ago. I was like, I'm not touching this. It was just down only, not touching, unlocks coming. I think we both agree that this wasn't something that interesting to look at. And then lo and behold, he comes out with the biggest carrot ever, and the whole thing just pumps 30%. So, yeah. I mean, what can I say? I'm no Kobe Bryant here. Okay. I missed the shot. I got it so wrong, but people want to have dinner with the president. What can I say? And actually, I remember somebody talking about it on the show ages ago. It might even have been Easy when this whole thing came out, who was like, he could use the token to basically have it as an incentive so that anyone, both good and evil in the world, could basically sit down and have meetings with him. So anyway, he's doing that in a very different way. But yeah, nice pump on this.
Yeah, I mean, the whole timeline was calling for this to dump. They were like, people on our show, like, isn't this the easiest short of all time? And when you see that, it's like, well, probably do the opposite.
The bigger thing, though, that's like the most interesting is the extended lock period. So that came out of nowhere. I think a lot of people were surprised that they extended the lock 90 more days, which I think shows like they don't actually give a shit about the price. Like, to them, this is more just like, oh, let's show we're part of crypto, I think. Because like now that they did that, I'm like, damn, this is actually rather interesting to me that they were like, yeah, we can just continue to lock this up and have people be happier in theory about this. And I was like, oh man, okay. Smart move by them.
It's like you can almost have like a 90-day like bump on it every time. Like even if they're not planning to sell it for years, you just keep pushing it 90 days. And then in 90 days, you can have another like, we're pushing it again.
I think we're seeing the tariff strategy play out in the Memecoin strategy. The number 90 has been discussed at the family dinners. And then like, through osmosis, one of the sons is like, why don't we do what he did for the tariffs, but on the Memecoin? You see what they're thinking there? And so they just keep rolling it. It's not a bad strategy. It makes this a lot more interesting to potentially trade and play around with.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. I see like now I don't know if I touch it. I probably just trade sideways and down for the next 90 days. And then
day 89, we get back in.
Interesting play there. But congrats to anyone who faded the current there and ate on a long. I know we had a couple of bodoggers reaching out saying they logged it. So excited to see that. Good to see them eating. Next big story, 21. So Jack Mallers is the CEO of Strike. And then he's now launching 21. He's going to be CEO of both companies at the same time. Strike is in the crypto space. 21 is looking to be a new Bitcoin acquisition company. I listened to this video about him like talking about it. And basically his goal is to raise Bitcoin in capital efficient ways whereas he's not like diluting shares. So he wants every Bitcoin acquisition to be accretive to shareholders. And like the example he hammers over and over again is like, hey, when a shareholder buys a share, each share is basically worth like 0.05 Bitcoin essentially. And his goal is like, oh, you check the next earnings report the next quarter, and now each share is worth 0.06 Bitcoin. So he's looking to add Bitcoin value per share as his main metric for this. So someone investing as this is basically trying to take a levered bet on Bitcoin, basically betting on Bitcoin price going up and then betting on his ability to efficiently raise capital to acquire more Bitcoin for shareholders without diluting value. So like this is, I think, pretty big that another company is going at it this aggressively on the Bitcoin side. They are like pitching themselves as like a competitor to MicroStrategy, saying that they are better than MicroStrategy in every metric. This is just a kind of a funny chart that they released. So if you're just listening, we're looking at basically strategy and 21 on a table next to each other with different categories, and then like kind of like circle ratings of like where they are. So they're saying strategy as pure play Bitcoin exposure is only 3/4 of a circle, whereas 21 is 100%. Bitcoin native operations, they're saying 21 is completely Bitcoin native. Strategy is not Bitcoin native at all. They're saying strategy has existing debt balance where 21 doesn't. They're also looking at debt collateralization, insider ownership, and quote unquote purpose-built KPIs. So they're basically trying to go and eat strategy's lunch. And I'm curious to see how this plays out and how like these two kind of can battle it out with their different like methods of Bitcoin acquisition. I think at the end of the day.
Sorry, Ray, my first question is, wouldn't their column not be strategy, but the BlackRock ETF? Like what's the, like, why would I invest in 21 over investing in the BlackRock ETF?
If you buy one Bitcoin of the BlackRock ETF, you own one Bitcoin, and your price is basically essentially like you whatever the price of Bitcoin is for one Bitcoin. If you buy 21, he says like it's one Bitcoin worth now. Next quarter, maybe it's 1.1 Bitcoin or 1.02 Bitcoin. Like you're gaining levered exposure, essentially like earning additional Bitcoin exposure over time because he's acquiring it in ways that are accretive. Whereas BlackRock is simply buying the Bitcoin for you and holding it and custodying it. They're not trying to acquire additional Bitcoin in accretive ways that's funneling back to the shareholder. And in that video on this, I'll pin this to the space. He actually goes over that exact question. Somebody asked him that exact question, and he basically sort of answers it in that way, saying that yeah, like you're gaining additional Bitcoin exposure over time as opposed to just like a static amount of Bitcoin in an ETF.
It's interesting. It always feels to me as if like you know when a new idea comes out in meme coins and it's like we're gonna make a meme on this, whatever it could be, some kind of trend over TikTok, and then you get all the derivatives coming afterwards, and then we get derivatives for about 2 weeks and then it disappears. 21 feels like the derivative to MicroStrategy, and I'm just like, I would rather be personally in MicroStrategy, who was the one, like Saylor was the one who pretty much pioneered this, what he's doing, and continues to be like the #1 proponent trying to get other companies to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And I prefer to be in the principal characters shares. I am a holder of strategy anyway. I've held it for ages, than to be in the next guy who's just kind of like copying Saylor, but might not really understand exactly what Saylor's 50-year outlook is on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. I think they're like, I mean, I think it's just like a competitor in the space, just like MicroStrategy competes with Microsoft and other cloud providers. I think we're going to see this space become more crowded of people like competing in the Bitcoin acquisition.
But then you have diminishing returns, which is my point. Like if everybody is trying to get Bitcoin onto their balance sheet, at some point, this strategy of I'm a strong company because I hold Bitcoin starts to go away. Because one, you have a moat effect whereby what was the price that the company acquired the Bitcoin for? Saylor, I think he was around that $30,000, $40,000 and has continued to acquire up until actually, I think over 100.
He's much
And
higher.
21, I don't know when they started, but you've got a price sort of moat defense, firstly. And then secondly, strategy actually has another business next to it. So for me, it's like if I want to take a leverage bet, I would take strategy. And then if I just want direct exposure, I would take the ETF. Come back on me if you think I've got this. Like, am I missing a trick pony here?
I think it just all depends on your risk tolerance. And I think owning maybe a couple of these in a basket is interesting. I think they're all going to use different strategies. I think MicroStrategy already has debt issued. I think they already have a decent stockpile of Bitcoin. I think that they have a different strategy of acquiring Bitcoin than potentially 21 does. So I think that there's going to be differences between these companies depending on your risk tolerance about where you want to put your money. I think they're going to trade different relatively to their holdings. This is the chart right now I have. It's Cantor Equity Partners is essentially the ticker they're trading under right now. They'll eventually go to XX1 or XXI 21 in Roman numerals. This is currently live on the NASDAQ. They went from just around $11 to $16 overnight on the news, up on the day. Not looking too bad. Getting ready to open here. This is yesterday's price action. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen today, trading pre-market at $19. So it's looking like people are interested in this. But no, I understand what you're saying. Like you want to bet with the person who's been doing this for a while, or you just want to own the straight Bitcoin. Like this is like a weird area, like in between, that just might not make sense if you're somebody who kind of wants to just like set it and forget it.
Yeah, I would just like prefer to be like sometimes like, okay, I haven't dug deep into this, but sometimes when you like look back on history of like financial engineering, financial borrowing, if you look back at the 2008 crisis, like it didn't start off with like mortgage-backed securities being a bunch of garbage. It evolved over time as people got greedier and greedier and were just like, let's just keep diluting until you end up with a basket of junk. And sometimes I feel like this is the problem with like derivatives, let's just call them. I'm calling 21 a derivative of MicroStrategy, like using the meme coin analogy, is that they're trying to beat their competitor, and the competitor has such a large moat of defense that they have to somehow come up with a way of financial engineering the return because the risk is already quite high. So I'm just like, for me, I'm like, okay, I need to look into it more, but this sometimes just smells a bit like that. And then when you have more copycats, they have to keep moving down the risk curve in order to get the returns of essentially, let's call it strategy in this case, because they're the number one, in order to keep up with them. And that's kind of like what I feel like we might be going into as more companies move into this space using this strategy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Right now, MicroStrategy has a large moat. They're looking at 538,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. 21's coming in with just 42,000 Bitcoin initially. So like less than 10% of MicroStrategy's total holdings. But I mean, you can look at this like throughout like which one I want to invest in, like lens, like this one or that one, dilutive, etc. But I think you really just benefits is just Bitcoin at the end of the day. Holding Bitcoin, this is like at the end of the day, it's just more buy pressure and people like looking to actively raise dollar bills and turn dollar bills into Bitcoin. And you're going to see more and more of this, like we're kind of alluding to, even if it is dilutive to like those respective returns on the equities. I think it's just great news for Bitcoin and for crypto in general over time.
Yeah, I mean, their investors are some seriously impressive, like Goliaths. There, they've got like the who's who of investors, but that doesn't mean that those companies also get it wrong sometimes. You know, SoftBank, I'm pretty sure, were the WeWork investors, which went horrendously wrong for them. So it's not like just because they have amazing investors means the investments. It means the company is bulletproof. So that's kind of why I'm a bit like trepidation there. But I see your other side, Ray, on this. I see like it's just another way for people to get Bitcoin exposure who might feel like, well, MicroStrategy hitting their all-time high the other day might not be the best time for me to get into it. So could this be another opportunity?
Yep, for sure. I know Pio is very big into MicroStrategy. He was talking this morning over Slack saying that he likes this guy, Jack Mallers. He's a good fit for the role. And he bought some shares and probably will buy many more of the new company. So he seems interested in it as well. So curious to see his take when we get him back on the next time, because I'm sure he'll have some interesting thoughts on this. for sure. Other stories today, we talked about Trump, we talked about 21. We had a ton of acquisitions. We just went over those. DeFi Debt Corp, 9.9 million in Solana, Metaplanet 13.4 million in Bitcoin. Soul Strategies raised $500 million in convertible notes to buy more Solana, doing the MicroStrategy playbook, but on Solana. And we saw a venture capital firm raise another 125 million to invest into Solana ecosystem startups. So we're seeing VC money flow back into the space. We're seeing TradFi money investing in the space. We're seeing price kind of stabilize, go up over time. I think we're going to see a huge boom of Web3 startups over the next like 6 to 9 months, in my opinion. Maybe like at the tail end of summer, because we're seeing lots of cash. We're seeing regulations being like lifted and like making it much easier to like start up a company and avoid like regulatory scrutiny. And we're seeing a little bit of the stigma of crypto kind of like fade a bit as it's becoming like more and more accepted on a global scale. So I think we're going to see a very interesting like next 6 to 9 months, maybe through 2025 into 2026 of like just new cool things coming to crypto and Web3. And I'm really excited to see like what's going to pop up. We're kind of just seeing like the seeds being sown right now with all this money flowing in. Really excited for what we're going to see on the other end. Hopefully it's some really cool stuff. That being said, were you following along Zora at all? Signal yesterday? With that,
I have, yeah. I've kind of kept up with it, with what's been going on there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So they launched yesterday. They launched at a like right around 250 million market cap after snipers drove the price up. I mean, it's basically traded flat. There was some drama on the timeline saying like, hey, this has been live for trading for hours without a peep out of Zora with claims being live, or like anyone announcing the claims being live. It was trading on centralized exchanges before anyone announced what was going on. So people are like claiming that like insiders were dumping. Price has been flat. We saw Coinbase's like big push telling everyone to coin everything. That seems to have cooled down a little bit after this TGE. Is Zora a coin that you're interested at all on Base, or is this something that's just like why, or do you have any other thoughts on Zora as kind of a platform?
What, for me or for you asking Easy or me? Right.
I'm asking you first, Sig. We talked about it.
I mean, I was so wrong on Trump, like so wrong. I'm like, do I have to say yes now? Because I got it extremely wrong. Things are becoming like, things are coming back. Like if you look at the last sort of 24 to 48 hours, you're seeing a resurgence on pretty much everything. You've had like Fartcoin basically went against the trend of was going up when everything was going down. Now that everything's going up, you've had all the AI agents like go over like 100%. You've got major meme coins like Pepe got 13%. The majors up like basically up until yesterday were all rebounding really nicely. So in the context of like, if that was like the awakening and the beginning, and we're going to go back to that potentially, which I think we definitely will. I'm asking myself, do I want Zora to be in my little like high punt portfolio of all the stuff that I think is going to come back and basically test the next, let's call it summer. Let's call it say between now and the end of summer. Personally, I think there's in the last month or so, or last 2 months or so, we've seen more resilient tokens out there. And I would prefer for my high punt portfolio to hold those more sort of like historical resilient tokens than hold the new stuff, which I think just attracts fast money. Fast money comes in, fast money goes out. So for this round, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're building is something that's like tangentially interesting. I mean, Nick got really excited about it, talking about it being like the Instagram like meets crypto. But I don't like, it just doesn't have that feel of something like I want to continue to interact with. Like the main feed, like I just scroll through it a little bit and I'm like, I don't want to interact with this like at all. There's no like social discoverability that's like easy to find. I haven't collected anything on the new Zora. So like, it's just tough for me to like really buy into this. I could see it being something that like eventually iterates and cooks as like a new like kind of like crypto DApp.
I don't think it's gonna have any longevity, man. Like they openly said, like it's for fun.
Yeah, but how much do you care about like utility of like what's the difference if they said this coin provided you governance rights or it's for fun?
I mean, it's more just like after this, what in theory should drive any positive price action?
Right? Does governance drive positive price action though?
Didn't they outright say there's no governance on it?
Right, but I'm saying like would governance drive positive price action?
It would give it more opportunity because then you actually have the opportunity to vote. Maybe a whale comes in, wants to dictate the future of Zora. There's reason for it. You know, like even like Jupe, which largely is a governance token used for votes, has buybacks, allows them to actually get some inherent feel for the company. Something that's just purely for fun, I think, is just a slow bleed to zero.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that argument being made. But I mean, we've seen so many utility coins bleed to zero anyway that like just
most of them do because the utility's ass.
Yeah, so it's like maybe like they couldn't come up with a way for the utility to be decent. This is just
their
token. They can always like I feel like you can always add utility to a token though, if you wanted to, if there was a purpose.
Yeah, but just because there's nothing now makes it a little bit more difficult, I think.
Yeah, that being said, I mean, I traded this yesterday. I bought, I sold. I made there's a nuke. That was just like a wild nuke in real time. Somebody didn't like whatever.
Someone was listening to the show and was like, wait, why the hell do I
I'm out.
Wait a minute. This is way too accurate.
Jesus, what was that? How much was that sell for? Oh my God. I want to find that. Yeah, pretty wild. Whatever just happened there. There it is. It's like a $48,000 sell. $102,000 sell we saw there just in real time. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I'm not buying here. I think I agree. I think the platform could be interesting. But I think we're a ways away from that happening. But I mean, a little bit of an uptrend here over the last 8 hours or so. We talked about the Zora a good amount this week. I think we've pretty much covered the entire topic. What should we talk about next? We had some luck in the trenches yesterday, Easy. On our stream, we hit a couple big runners. I would love to like bring the morning audience in on kind of your strategy we went over this morning. When we're talking about the fibs on that runner you hit this morning for like a quick 2x, and just kind of walk us through the plays you're making and how you're viewing the meme coin market right now.
I'm being extremely passive right now because there's just a lot of tokens launching. Like this green apple one, basically we had a clean runner to the fibs, almost to a T up to 500K. And then the dev started buying and selling over and over, which killed the chart. Any action by the dev is kind of ugly. But I've been using a little bit more of Dex Screener here, where I'm actually just looking for top coins that have volume and are at the top of the leaderboard. So like Secret X is up there. It's a $1.1 million market cap. Now I'm not looking to buy this. I don't know what it is, but what I've been doing is just doing fibs from low to high after the initial candle. So like the perfect example of this is if I were to share this screen right now, this looks like a good buy zone. We're above the red line, holding here, consolidating. Last time we had a repeat pattern like that was here before a breakout. We get this for an extended period of time. I'm interested. And I've just been setting up take profits and stop losses and just trading charts. So for this 1.1 mil, I'd have a stop loss at about 800K. Take profit probably a little bit closer to like 1.8 mil, 1.6. And the reason being, I'm not looking for these like crazy home runs. I'd look to retest this wick. So right here, 1.79. So right there's what? 1.79 off of 1.1, you're making 700K. That's a 60% increase. I'm not looking to hit a 10, 20, 30x, but I'll take a 60% increase on a 20 soul buy here and just let it work. Like I was doing it yesterday, just being way more passive, just reading the chart and seeing like, do we get more volume? Do we find something of interest? And if so, where do we make an entry and where do we take profits? Like this is a great range in my opinion. You push higher above the fib, you break below the fib to previous support. That'd be where my stop loss is because then we just made the new low. We're still technically holding a new high here, a lower high, which is what you want. So as long as you hold those lower highs, it's all more or less traditional charting, which I know a lot of people think is dumb. But for me, this is like how I've been finding great plays. Like I would be looking for this to move back up here, not blow off top. You can still remain in a downtrend, but we could get that move higher for a 60-70% gain. Like, that's kind of where my head's been. And I did it with this yesterday. We caught this move here, pushed up, take profit target, same move again, push up, profit target. And the thing was, once again, it made higher lows and higher highs. So, like, for me, that's what I look at. Yeah, someone said, do fibs work on a 1.2 mil market cap coin? They do. They're just volatile. So you have to be more okay with high volatility swings. Like, this has made higher lows every time. I use fibs as just like a confluence point and higher highs. So in theory, this could even be a decent range here to make it back up towards here, like 2 mil. Like, once again, you're getting a 60% candle if it can go up and break above this. I would set stop loss probably a little higher than this, probably like right here on something like this, where you can just visualize support and resistance on these charts and trade into it and find opportunity. It's way less entertaining. It's way more technical, but it's just base hits, score runs too. Like, you watch me do it this morning on literally a brand new meme, and I made like $800 in 20 minutes. Like, it's not glamorous, especially for people who want to make $100,000 in one trade, but it's simple. It works. You're muted, Ray.
I basically just followed Easy's game plan here with this SX token. I bought it. I have a 1.5 mil sell order and then a 800K-ish stop loss. And then I'm just going to ride it either way, hoping it respects those fibs. Using BullX, you can set limit orders as you buy, or you can even set automatic strategies, like where every time you buy, it automatically throws limit orders in X above, X below, which is interesting as well. Love using that feature. If you need to sign up for BullX, I don't know what you're doing if you haven't signed up yet, but doggos.com/BullX to do so. We did some trading yesterday. We had some fun. Easy pulled up that screaming rubber chicken. We saw that on the stream, like graduate, I think.
Yeah, like 40K. And we were like, what is this? Like, Clemente started playing the damn TikToks, and I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, like when we finally we thought it was dumb at first. Like, we looked into the Twitter page, and like Clemente pulled up, like, yeah, everyone's using these on TikTok. That was good. We also hit Sign Guy, which was like a funny roller coaster of a low cap. We saw it at 10K, bought it at like 30, ran up to like 300. Clemente sold it like at 10K, like early on an early dip. We just had a lot of fun. I highly suggest checking that out to see like what we're thinking of when we're trading these meme coins. But yeah, it's entertaining. We had a lot of fun. Hit some runners for the audience as well. Seeing some people in the crowd saying no future photography Inc. I cooked on SRC. So we have a lot of fun on those, and hopefully provide a little bit of value to those who listen when we get the plays right. Don't always hit them, but when we do hit them, we do have a ton of fun. Moving on from meme coins a little bit, Signal, I just want to get like your general take on like the market. Like, what have you been looking at? Are you like participating much right now? Are you trading anything? Like, what interests you in Web3 right now?
So right now, I think we just sort of range, like in terms of the majors, I think we just sort of range in this period. So around like the 80s, the 90s, we're just going to hang around there. But what that means is that I still think on that side of things, it makes for some majors and some alts still a very interesting accumulation phase. Because whilst we've seen moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana, some of the alts just haven't really rebounded in a way that you would think they would traditionally follow. But having looked at the market in the last 6 to 12 months, you know at some point they're going to follow, right? And then after that, you've got the major memes, which off the back of this week have done extremely well. So I personally, right now, I really like the major memes. I do. I'm more comfortable there than I am in like the new stuff you guys have just been talking about. I don't really want to touch much of the old stuff, to be honest. Most of that stuff, when I look in my BullX, is down like 80-90%. I don't think it's ever coming back. But like watching this past week, watching what has come back, what did well when Bitcoin went down on the majors, for me has been very telling in what I think could be interesting medium-term holds. So that means essentially holding between now and the sort of like going into end of August, September, when you have that lull period. I think meme coins will still do really well over the summer because that's kind of like when the activity goes down. Wall Street over August, stepping away from their desk. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about. And then like going towards end of September, I'm not really like thinking what's going to happen Q4 right now. I think what will happen geopolitically will have a huge impact on how the last Q4 of the year looks like. So I'm thinking now between sort of now and the end of summer. So for me, it's the major memes and alts.
What do you mean by major memes?
So
like, I think some
Pepe.
people want to understand, because like when I say majors, like I talk anything that's over a micro cap, like over a mil for me is quote a major.
I'm talking stuff like Pepe, and I mentioned this like last week, and people are like, "Oh my god, that's like the stupidest red flag," and it's not, because we've now seen it rebound, and you might not be getting your 1000x's or your 50x's out of there, but it's a meme that consistently performs well once the conditions of the market start to like positively move. So if you believe, so my whole thesis is this: if you believe between now and end of August, we're going to be in some kind of like sideways movement or potentially going up, which is my thesis, I think we will. I think being in alts and major memes, stuff like Pepe and the old established meme coins is a high risk way, but it's a low risk way of still being able to see returns, but you're not going to see the returns that you get with stuff out of the trenches. You're muted, Ray.
Sorry about that. I have the sniffles. I'm trying to avoid the audience hearing me make a lot of noise. I think something's interesting to me here is like looking at the market cap. There's only 6 meme coins over $1 billion, and that's including Doge and Cheap. So like it's really just Pepe, Trump, Bonk, and Fartcoin for like quote unquote like crypto, like the current majors of this like cycle. Like 4 majors, and Fartcoin just got over $1 billion. So I feel like we are going to see another meme coin season, and I feel like when we do, there's going to be like 15, 20 meme coins over a $1 billion market cap. So I'm like debating a strategy of just like looking at like any of these meme coins like that are under $1 billion right now that like should come back theoretically, that just make a ton of sense to buy. Like Dog with Hat, that's WIF's a 2x. SPX is over a 2x. PENGU is almost a 3x by market cap. Popcat's a 3x. Like didn't Mew cross 1 bill during the run up last time?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so like we had like 15 to 20 tokens in that 1 bill range in the last yeah, it did. So maybe like a basket of memes becomes interesting to try to like maybe go like, not all of them obviously are going to cross $1 billion, but if you get like 7 out of 10 cross $1 billion at a 2x, you're still making like 60-70% on a quote unquote fairly safe investment. But I mean the question always is there of like, are these just dead forever now that they haven't pumped with kind of like the other majors? So interesting strategy. I'm going to think that over and debate potentially doing something like this.
Because you kind of have to like choose your spot. If you know summer's going to be a lull period, but the market is still going to be active, I'm just looking, I'm no Cassandra here. I'm just looking back at what has happened in the past over the summer months, and it has been for the last couple of years that meme coins have retained interest and attention, and there's nothing on the horizon at the moment to say that attention is going to be diverting hard and fast and to something else which is completely new and different that we should always look out for. But right now, what the market is saying is that meme coins are going to have another go. So I don't know. I think this is a really interesting period to just sort of stake your bets. Stake your bets when the market is just consolidating and not really doing anything. Because we had that sell-off a couple of weeks ago. You could have got Solana sub 100. You could have got Bitcoin at 76. It was such a beautiful day to just be like, I'm going all in. And lo and behold, not even 7 to 8 days later, like you're majorly up on all of those moves. And that is the kind of thing you either want to see a repeat of. And if you can't get a repeat of it, because that was such a strong sell-off, you needed quite harsh conditions for that to come through, then you just think, well, what happens when the market consolidates? What has historically performed well? And hence you end up in the major memes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of major memes, Alfalfa saying PENGU seems undervalued from that perspective. I mean, looking at PENGU, we had a nice run. yesterday. I don't know if we even saw any information on like why this happened. I don't know if you saw anything easy on the PENGU run from a couple of days ago. What are your thoughts on PENGU signal, like long term as like a meme coin in the space?
Yeah, it's a tough one, PENGU, but I like it as one to trade. If you're holding it long term, it just feels like you're gonna just like bleed out. It's been down, like been down pretty hard since it came out. So if you've held it since then, like, oh, your portfolio won't be looking very nice. But if you are thinking of it as it could be one that is resilient and bounces back, yeah, it's got the community and it has a track record to do so. So I think if you can find a decent enough entry, I think this is one to just sort of trade in and out of.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm interested here because like this has been flat for so long. I know we talked about finding the bottom like a couple times. Like we're like, is this the bottom? Is this the bottom? Is this the bottom? Is this the bottom? Like maybe we finally found it. Maybe. And if so, like I do think there's going to be like another day in the sun for the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem. I don't think it's just down only forever. So we have found the bottom. Maybe looking to buy in. I know I said this. I took a lot of heat for doing this for Fartcoin, but like looking for that like initial like candle with like a little bit of strength could be something interesting to build momentum
You've also got to think like with something like PENGU as well. You got to think like what? So Luca's just going to go quiet. Is that it? We're not going to get any more like hype from him for the rest of the year. Like that's not going to happen at some point. And when winter is coming, when it does, the Penguins always come back. He's always got this trick up his sleeve around winter time. I've seen it like play out over the last 2 years, right? So I'm not saying like buy now and hold till winter. This token could bleed a lot more, but it's just like my belief that Luca will come out with something resurgence and energy and attention around the PENGU community. I think that's gonna come back. So that's why I think it's a good bet. You're not just betting on a sort of arbitrary token which has come in and out, and some people could name the founders, other people couldn't. You're betting on Luca and a team. And is that track record of the last 2 years of what they've done just gonna disappear? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. So maybe wait out the summer months. Maybe they'll get a little too warm in the summer. Jump in before September. Front run the winter action on the Penguins.
It's a fall move. Okay, that will be our fall September when there's butts back in seats, start accumulating PENGU.
Oh man, I mean we're getting close to eggplant season. I don't want to go back there, but it seems like we're gonna be there soon. Looking at some other meme coins.
Looking at what are you guys interested in at the moment in terms of like action for these next couple of months?
I'm doing a lot of like exploring new things. I'm looking at Kaito leaderboards, seeing what's coming up. Scanning Twitter. I joined this like Mirra AI thing yesterday that I started reading about, basically trying to like train AI, rewarding both creators and users. That was like a pretty interesting play. I mean, it's fairly small. I think it's like they had like 700 followers on Twitter yesterday, but it's like trying to solve the Kaito problem in a little bit more like decentralized way, I suppose. So essentially what happens with their program is there's like a leaderboard with points, obviously, which is kind of driving this leaderboard points, like airdrop. And then you get rewarded as a content creator when people validate your content. And then you also get rewarded as a validator when you scout content. So essentially what you're doing is like, as a user, if you see good content on Twitter, you basically tag their bot and like it does like goes through a validation process. And if like they determine the content to be like good content, you get like rewarded with points essentially, and you can scout like a couple posts a day. So I've been playing around with that. Like this is just an example of just like a new protocol that like catches my eye and I'll mess around with for a little bit. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Kaito leaderboards in terms of like mindshare, what's coming up. I posted about Infinex this morning. I set up an Infinex wallet, connected my Twitter to it. Essentially, like I saw someone else posting about it, and I saw that in their dashboard, they essentially are saying like, connect your X, maybe something good will happen. So just getting into new platforms, tweeting about them, looking at Kaito pre-TG, just like trying to look for ways that aren't necessarily like capital requirements and then just kind of like maximizing your footprint there for potential rewards. So like when you go through like a number of like these different protocols, like obviously they're not all going to pan out, like not many will pan out, but if you do enough of them, like you're going to find one that's going to be like a real winner. So like the way I'm doing this is basically curating information flow on Twitter, following people who are successful, looking at kind of leaderboards, seeing who is like really catching mind share in terms of TGE. You know, all the usual suspects here, like in terms of people who are like very like at the cutting edge of things. Like you have like Bread, Apex in terms of gaming, like Whale's always good. And looking at these like pre-TGE yappers, seeing what they're talking about, seeing what other pre-TGE platforms are doing is very, very interesting to me. Are you looking at any of the Kaito stuff? Do any of these interest you, Easy, in terms of Kaito?
There's a couple. We might be doing something with Open Ledger, so I am interested in that. Obviously, was a little bit biased, but like MegaETH, I'm a huge fan of Bread, so that's something I'm very interested in checking out. Somnia is the Sony blockchain, so that's one that I've been doing more like due diligence on and looking into, and I want to try to get like a better feel of what's happening over there. Maple Story Universe over on AVAX, I think is going to be a pretty big thing, just because the game has been around for so long, like so long, and I think that alone is going to get legs. Like as long as the gameplay isn't shifted too much from what they've done traditionally, then I think that there is a pretty substantial opportunity for it.
Yeah, and I've been playing around with MegaETH a little bit. I'm trying to get into some of the other platforms like Nois where you can like trade essentially.
I just got into Nois.
Did you? Hook me up.
Yeah.
Brad, you're in the audience. Brad, hook me up. Come on.
Yeah, I like responded to Brad and was like, give me a login. Let help. And he was like, the founder that hit me up.
Yeah, come on, Brad. Hook me up too. I want to get in there and start trading on Noise. Yeah, definitely interested in MegaETH. It's interesting to see Monad and Abstract dominating on the timeline here. Pre-TGE. I feel like I don't see as much Monad chatter anymore. I don't know if that's just me or is it
I think it's in general, to be honest. Like I haven't seen too much of it either. You know, like I don't know. It seems that as it gets closer to TGE, a lot of people are still kind of like waiting to see what's going to happen.
Interesting. Sig, you're going to add something?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting because we were talking about in the weather report as well. I think it was Rockaway that you mentioned has put like 125 million into the Solana ecosystem. And I think one of the best ways to try and sort of figure out what's going to happen in Q4 and the future and next year as well is to see where that VC money is flowing. So we saw back in like 21, you had A16Z just pumping money into the NFT market, which then went on to proceed. Like, I think we had another 9 months of runway and then sort of like everything blew up. But it's just like seeing where that money is going. Is it going into is it going to AI? Is it going into protocols? Like where is that money going? I have no idea at the moment, but it's always a sign of like, if there is lots of capital flowing to like one type of theme within an ecosystem, it is likely that other VCs are going to follow. And then you just have that trickle down effect of that then going into protocol money, into tokens, into meme coins. So like, that's another way I try and look at the market and try and figure out what's going to happen in 2026 or towards the end of this year, because it was such a strong sign back in 21 when we had that money from A16Z come in, which was obviously late compared to where we were, because we were there because obviously the market had been so hot, but it still means that there's more runway. There's likely to be more runway, more frothiness, and more money coming. So these VC investments into different ecosystems are a good way of tracking where the attention hype might be in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I 100% agree. A lot of these companies are like actively looking at these mindshare boards too. So they're trying to like basically market on Kaito by like trying to gain mindshare on these boards to get like additional eyeballs on their product. Bishop in the crowd asked for can we get a 3 NFTs of interest bit just to have a tiny bit of JPEG discussion every week? I mean, I look at JPEGs every morning, Bishop. I look at everything on ETH, Solana, Magic, or Bitcoin, ApeChain, Abstract, etc. every morning. And when something like pops out at me, I'll definitely discuss it. But just like right now, there's isn't anything of interest. So it's like tough. Like today, I could have like talked about like, hey, maybe there's like a bid for like art NFTs because we're seeing like a lot of the big gainers on the day being art NFTs, 6529 gradients 2x, but only on like because one got purchased for 21 ETH. ByteGANs by Pindar up 2x, but only a handful got purchased. End of Death. This is the Moonbirds AI artist is up 71%, but only a handful of buys. So like there is some like interesting like narratives. Like you could spin an art narrative here, but I just don't see enough to like justify potentially like having it like recurring. Like and even this one, there's so little volume that like I'm like hesitant to even like bring up this of like saying like, hey, like there's art like moving hands in terms of NFTs.
I love Bishop's comment though. It's just like everybody wants the NFT market to come back so much. It's just like, it's just like something that we'll always love and hope for. It's like your first love. You're kind of like stalking them on Facebook and then you find out they got married and have kids and you're like, I'll still love you even though you're with another person. It's like that's kind of like how Bishop is making me feel with this comment, because I think it resonates with everyone. But what I do find interesting about this time is like there's some art moves happening now where I'm like, how is that the price? I saw a ringer sell for 11 ETH by Dmitry Cherniak. And I was like, huh? That price 4 years ago was like a number that you were just like, can't afford that, and now you're seeing them for 11 ETH. And I'm just like, at some point, it's going to be worth taking a punt on the really, really high-end stuff of art with like the who's who of artists where, like people have taken a position and it's going to be a long-term view. Oh yeah, of course, Cyrus buying his autoglyph. Like this stuff at some point gets interesting. Either if ETH is selling off so much and you're crying that the price is just completely gone down, like maybe it's potentially interesting to get some art. Or because, naturally over time, the fact that people aren't accumulating it and there's not enough demand, and you just got to pick the right artists. Because I do think that the art side is still an interesting place to hold an NFT if you can get hold of the really, really good stuff. You see the way Xcopy is selling, it just sells all the time, just like nice little flow every single day. The man's taking his check. So yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You need to get it to it. Obviously, some of this stuff still needs to. Like the one stuff is obviously way more expensive, but when you're looking at collections like ringers, for example, and you're seeing that as 11 ETH, you start to ask I start to ask questions at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of money. Also, Cyrus saying like this is kind of like the issue. Like Cyrus bought an autoglyph and then someone the next day defaulted on 4 autoglyph loans, so like he got kind of burned there. Someone in the crowd saying like, hey, there was a crypto pump, but there's been like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punks sold in the last 23 hours. And another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sold in the last day. It was a nice hoodie sale, but like we're not seeing like the crazy volume that we used to. So it's like really hard to like, you're almost like creating a narrative versus like letting the market speak to you if you want to try to like force NFT talk in.
No,
like,
it's not creating a narrative, right? It's looking at where does capital flow when you see big changes in prices. When you see Ethereum crashing down like hard, where is money going to? And that is a sign that market still exists and capital is on the sidelines waiting to accumulate. And if you're waiting to see the type of sales that we saw with punks, where you're seeing them just like bum 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 bum, punks are just flying, right? Like it's chocolate bars. Then it's too late. You've already lost the upside, because that's when like maybe fund money is coming in, and that's why we have that kind of activity. If you think that's going to come, then technically you should be thinking about, okay, punks or whatever it is, could be autoglyphs, could be ringers, whatever, like whatever you have your eye on has shown to be resilient and a place that money still goes when there are big price movements. Therefore, is XYZ potentially interesting as a way to be within the art category or in the punks category or whatever? I'm just saying that by the time you think that art, or let's call it punks or fine art, whatever, was a good idea, the big money is already there and the price has moved against you. And then you have to wait another 4 years or another 5 years for that demand and attention to go away.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's gonna be interesting to watch. It's just all a slow cook though, and you have to see like when is that money coming back. Last question here before we wrap. We do have another stream after this, so we have to stop shortly. Bishop wants to know the sentiment of and to the bait ecosystem. We work with 8chain personally, so we like kind of see what's going on there. I think apes. There is some stuff interesting going on. Like there's new leadership in the ape chain ecosystem. We just saw Gordon Goner release was it Gordon Goner? Yeah, Gordon Goner released a post this morning updating on his health. He's probably gonna be going to Bitcoin Vegas or Ape Chain Vegas for the next party. So I think there are cool things happening behind the scenes for Ape Chain. I think ape NFTs like kind of are going to go as Ape Chain does. One of the interesting things from Gordon Goner's post was basically him saying that they're like making some big swings, essentially that like may pay off or may not pay off, but like he has faith. So like I'm really curious to see like what happens with those big swings. He talks about it on this post. Greg's doing Yuga stuff, killer job on a few big dick moves that might take a while, but they're going to pay off huge for our ecosystem. So I'm like curious to see like what these sort of things are going to be. Like they've been building for a while, and I think that there is going to be some stuff coming to fruition for the ape ecosystem, and I'm pretty interested to see what's going on. Like they have shown like signs of life on the NFT front. Like they have successful NFT launches and an NFT community on Ape Chain, which has been nice to see. Like there's been profit there. I've been talking about Gobs for a while. Those are still up huge. They just had a free mint for Gobs holders that cooked a couple $100 from zero. So there's definitely activity on the chain, and they're definitely taking some swings. So I'd be on the lookout for apes coming up and seeing like basically what they drop, because it's been quiet on that front for a while.
And that floor has held up incredibly well.
Yeah,
given it's to be at 13 ETH in these conditions is something to say. It's something to say to how resilient that community has been over the last 4 years. It's it's a real testament to what the team are doing and to the community they created. Because not every I'm sure there are a lot of NFT communities that would kill to have that floor.
Bachelor Society 1 Clubhouse. I'll buy an ape for Clubhouse access. Everyone's been asking for it. And Bishop, yeah, I mean, you asked, we'll deliver. Even if there's nothing in my opinion that needs to be talked about, you asked, and I'll try to make it more of a point to talk about it more. It's just something really has to catch my eye at this point. I've been looking at them every day, like I said. So, but that's going to do it for today's show. We've got to jump over to a special stream. You're going to see me, Easy, and Clemente playing a little game shortly here. We're going to have some party time. We're going to be playing at Party Icons. You don't remember this one. We played this a couple months back during their first closed beta. This is their second closed beta. There is a Cooley leaderboard. You're going to be able to earn MNT tokens. So you can earn some free money by climbing this leaderboard. We're going to be playing. Pablo from their team is going to be walking us through all the updates, telling you how to play, telling you how to farm. This is actually a pretty fun shooter game. If you remember last time, I think we had Pio and Nick on as well, and we were all kind of jumping around, shooting each other, extracting. Really cool game. We've been working with them for a while. So we're going to do a little stream action today at 10:30. So 30 minutes after the show, we'll be running this. So check us out. We'll be streaming live on YouTube, streaming to Easy's Twitter. Going to have some fun here. But thank you all for listening. It's been a wonderful show. It's been a wonderful Thursday. You can catch our podcast on all major podcasting platforms. You can catch us on Apple, Spotify. You can watch us back on YouTube. See our pretty faces in real time. See what we're talking about. See what we're charting. Thanks again. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll catch you again tomorrow.